Hello everyone. Alright, so today is update day for Roots. This week is a really important one, and I added some of the most fundamental revolutionary features that I think will ever be added to the server. Many of the new features are things that you guys have been asking for a long time, and I've added in some stuff that overhauls the way that Rebel gameplay works on the server. But before I get to that, I'll mention something else that's very important that affects civil protection. Earlier this week, I fully implemented demotion and defunction for civil protection, or should I say suspension and defunction. Demotion now has a side consequence if you are already the lowest rank possible. Normally, being demoted would lower you by 1 rank, but if you're already the lowest rank, in addition to losing whatever service you already had, you will now also be suspended from civil protection. Being suspended means that you can't play as a member of civil protection for the rest of the day. However, after the server restarts, aka tomorrow, you can get on and you can play civil protection again. It's meant to be a little bit more of a harsh punishment for people who really need to take a break from the job and think about what decisions led to them being demoted in the first place, or what series of bad decisions led them to being suspended. As far as defunction goes, defunction is now far more reasonable of a punishment. Before, all it did was get rid of all of your service, and at the lowest rank it would have been identical to demotion. Now, defunction is much harsher. Instead of just losing service, now you're also unable to play as a member of civil protection for 1 week. Demotion and defunction both take effect whether you are killed or leave the game, so there's no escaping punishment once you've earned it. We've already seen this help to clean up civil protection and making it something that images aren't so easily able to abuse, as they lose access to it very quickly, and if they do too much, they lose access to it for a very long time. People who are playing civil protection correctly, of course, are never going to have to worry about that sort of thing happening to them. Also, a minor thing, apartments are now neutral blocks. You no longer get paid for being in them. It's already worth being there just because you can kind of get away from civil protection, and you're also always allowed there regardless of what precinct is encouraged for you. But it was a little too much for you to be able to actually earn money while you were there. It was kind of overpowered in the sense, and there was not really much reason for you to go to, say, Precinct 9. So now there is. But now let's move on to the core of this week's update. And that, of course, is full persistency. Persistency affects all kinds of things. It affects the world, and it affects the people. Items that have been placed into the world, things like food, weapons, ammunition, crafting materials, are now fully persistent. This means that whenever you place an item down somewhere, it will stay there, even if the server restarts. If you put an item in a closet and nobody finds it, it will be there tomorrow, and the next day, and a week from now, maybe even a month from now. It depends on a lot of different things, and there are risks involved. It could get stolen, it could even possibly just glitch through the map and disappear. There is a lot of risk associated with it. However, the way the system is designed intends for it to stay there, and so while it is not as reliable as storing something in your box, which is almost flawless, it is a way that you can store items very sneakily around the world in little stashes. You can store legal things in, like the rebel base, and you can store illegal things in the city. This is especially useful because of another recent change. While you're in the city, if you have any illegal items on you, when you log out of the game, they're dropped onto the ground. So you can no longer run away from cops, turn the corner, and log out to save all of this stuff for free with no consequence. You'll end up just losing the stuff anyways, even if you don't get arrested. This means that if you have illegal items in the city, and you don't plan on escaping with them, then you're going to have to hide them somewhere or hand them off to somebody that you trust. Not only that, but now, wherever you are in the world, whenever you log out, your stats are saved. that means your health and your hunger doesn't reset upon logging in. If you were half health and low on hunger, you're not going to be able to log in to refresh any of that. The only way that you're going to get your stats back is by being healed, eating, or dying, which, as you know, doesn't exactly fill them to ideal levels, especially hunger. But those aren't the only sorts of things that can save. Once you leave the city, once you enter the 404 area, you actually stay exactly where you are if you log out and log back in. In fact, once you've escaped from the city, logging out is more like pausing your game than it is resetting your character. You will resume exactly where you were, you'll have the exact same job, and of course you don't drop any of your illegal goods like you do in the city. You can just pick up right where you left off. This has a major impact on Rebel gameplay, because you can no longer just quickly relog to send yourself back to the city, and you won't be able to bring illegal goods like weapons with you back to the city very easily anymore either. This also means that once you leave the city, you really are on your own, and unless you brought supplies like food with you, you need a way back into the city, or else you're probably going to starve to death. You have to take a lot more care and preparation, and work with other people in order to survive outside of the city. This is a major change to Roots, and I think it's really gearing things towards the sort of gameplay that we want to see, especially for Rebels. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys are going to do with the new game mechanics, making lambda caches, checkpoints, and little hiding spots within the city to store all of your guns and ammo.